So a little bit about me is that I work for Rutgers University as a case manager. What I do is I go into families' homes and I do assessments. So if the child is having behavioral issues at school or at home, substance abuse, sexualized behaviors, all of it, I go in and I do an assessment. I determine what level of services they need, whether it be inpatient hospitalization, partial hospitalization, or in-home therapy. I do that assessment and make that determination, and then I come back and I do a treatment plan. So I do have a little bit of experience with a very basic treatment plan, very basic diagnoses, because I do have to include a diagnosis for each child for us to be able to bill for insurance purposes. We call them Z codes. So they're just a very basic diagnosis. So I'm looking forward to this class, to understanding a little bit more about what goes into making a diagnosis that sticks, for a child or an adult, and so that they get the services that are right for them. So that's just a little bit about my experience with that. I have worked with youths before who have been misdiagnosed. So just real quickly about one student that comes to mind is probably going to be the same student that I do my clinical vignette about. He was 5 years old. He was having behavioral issues in his kindergarten. So what they had told us information was that he was a nonverbal, autistic child on the spectrum, very behaviorally aggressive, things like that. So, he comes over to my school. I was working as a behavioral therapist assistant at the time, and so for when he first comes into class, he kind of just starts destroying the classroom, and so I had to remove him from the class, help him calm down a little bit, and he didn't speak a single word to me for 2 hours. So I'm trying to figure out, is this part of, on the spectrum disorder, or what's going on here? Eventually he got very frustrated with being in this room that he just started cursing me out. He knew every single curse word under the sun. And then he started just talking a whole bunch. And as I got to know this kid a little bit more, it was very obvious that he was not on the spectrum whatsoever. He had a lot of trauma, a lot of neglect, a lot of trauma from home. And so what had happened was the mom, she did this with all her other children as well, and she has a bunch of them. We came to find out as we got to know the family better that the mom just wanted services for all the kids. She wanted to receive money and she wanted services. So she would go to clinicians and she would tell them all these behaviors. And, while some of them were true, some of them were also not true. And the clinician, I read her progress notes actually, and the student that I'm talking about, he went into her office. She was trying to do a diagnosis, trying to do an assessment with him. He started destroying her office, and she just gave a quick diagnosis that yes, he is on the spectrum, and that diagnosis stuck with him while he came over to our program, and obviously it was not correct. So I do have a little bit of experience, with that, working with students and youth who have been misdiagnosed. So I'm just looking forward to just getting to know a little bit more and just learning more about this. Thanks for listening.